And we're back on Coffee and Conversation this morning. So imagine, if you will, it's 4th of July, but we're celebrating in the mid-1800s, if you will, okay? And I want you to meet somebody. She knows a lot about what goes on at that time, and her name is Susan McGoffin. And Susan, it is so good to meet you.
Oh, it is a delight to meet you, Larry.
You're such a lady.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I'm a Kentucky belle, you know, and when I came down the Santa Fe Trail in the Camino Real, it was way back in 1846, 47, and 48 during the Great Mexican-American War. Can you imagine that?
Wow. What brought you to this part of the country away from your Kentucky home?
Well, being the first Anglo, purportedly. My husband was a trader down the Santa Fe Trail, and he had stores down in Chihuahua and Saltillo, Mexico. And so he took me out here, and it was like my honeymoon safari. He was, 27 years older than me. I was only 18 at the time.
Oh, you were a blushing young bride.
I was.
Well, you're certainly a Southern lady, and we can use some of that charm out here in the Old West.
Well, thank you so much. That's such a nice compliment. Thank you.
Tell me about how you normally would spend the 4th of July.
Oh, well, my great-grandfather, my grandfather himself, they both were in the Revolutionary War, and my grandfather was a Kentucky governor, the first one. He even wrote the Constitution for Kentucky. So when we were back home, we'd have a great big barbecue, and we'd celebrate with music, and we called it Independence Day. And my grandfather, he was definitely a hero of the Revolutionary War.
He was a real patriot.
Yes, he was. So I grew up a patriot too. So it was a very important time for us. But coming out west, it was a little different because we were on the trail.
Covered wagons, all that?
Oh, yes. But, I came down in high style. I was a little bit spoiled.
I would expect nothing less from you.
Well, I was a little bit spoiled. I had my own little Rockaway carriage and then all the wagons and a special baggage wagon for all my goods. And I had a 4-poster bed brought out every night, put under my tent. And, I also brought out the first bathtub, rub-a-dub-dub.
Tell me about the 4th of July at Pawnee Rock. Why is that significant?
It's significant because I was there, Larry, when we were celebrating the 4th of July.
Yeah.
And, the Pawnee Indians were around that area. And my husband said, now, you run up to the top of Pawnee Rock, and that's the only little mountain in Kansas. Poor little Kansas. They're just as flat as a pancake.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I brought the mountain with me today. It's not very big.
No. That's it.
This is it. Yeah. But you can slightly see my name on there, Susan Shelby McGoffin. And, oh, my goodness, there's Kit Carson's name there. And,
wow.
Oh, my word. Oh, Elvis was here.
Well,
everybody knows.
Who knew?
Yes, well, I borrowed Pawnee Rock from you Kansas people. We need to pray for them. I mean, they're out there in the middle, Nothingsville, and here we are in beautiful New Mexico with mountains and desert and everything.
I get the sense you really like it out here.
I love it.
Yeah, but it's different. No more bluegrass of Kentucky. It's kind of sagebrush of New Mexico.
Absolutely, but I did fall in love with it, and I learned to speak fluent Spanish when I was coming through this part of the world. And, of course, my husband was selling goods everywhere,
Sure.
That's what he was. He was like a traveling Walmart is what he was.
If there was such a thing.
If there was such a thing. But, Larry, what was so interesting about the 4th of July? It was not just signing the rock, but that very day we went on just a little further beyond Ash Creek, and there in the middle of nowhere were 1,600, 1,700 young men known gloriously as the Army of the West, and they were waiting for their commander, Stephen Watts Kearny. So we were escorted all the way into New Mexico and down to Chihuahua with the Army of the West. We were in the middle of a war, and we didn't even know it when we first started out.
Because you just thought all these handsome young men were to escort you.
Yes. I became very friendly with some of them. I'd write letters back home to their mothers and girlfriends and help them not be so homesick. I was the only woman,
Yeah, well, you had to do what you could, right?
Yes.
It's very, very important. Talk about what's called the manifest destiny. What does that mean to you?
Yes. Well, my brother-in-law, James McGoffin, knew President Polk very well. He was our president at that time. And that was his kind of idea about taking over peacefully, hopefully,
Right.
the western part of the United States. That included New Mexico, California, Utah, parts of Colorado. And so we nearly doubled our country in size because of
Yes.
manifest destiny. And I think it was our destiny. I think God wanted us to be this great country from coast to coast.
I'm listening to you, Susan, and
Yes.
you seem to me with this Kentucky charm that you would have been a great diplomat
Oh, well,
for the
thank
United States.
you.
And in a way, you are.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I did know everyone who was someone bringing the
Oh,
flag of the
yeah.
United States. Now, that flag, this little flag right here, I saw it fly for the very first time over the plaza of Santa Fe, August the 18th, 1846. And it was because of my brother-in-law, James McGoffin, that flag is flying still over this part of the world.
That's such a great story.
Yes, it is.
Well, listen, this is such a joy to meet you.
Thank you.
Your charm and your beauty is obvious to everyone
Oh,
here.
well, my goodness, thank you so much. Well, I dressed up just special for you today, and that's what all the women on the trails west would do. They would find something red, white, and blue and make it a part of their daily costume or outfit, if you will. And that's what I wanted to do for you, to make you feel special.
Now, let me introduce to you a good friend of our show, and she is just amazing, as you can tell. Performing as Susan McGoffin is the one and only VanAnn Moore from Belen, New Mexico. VanAnn, how are you? It's great. You are you are good at this.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Is this one of the ladies that you perform on
Yes,
stage?
this is one of the ladies I'm doing, and I have done for many years, along with Doña Tulis and everybody else in my repertoire. And of course, they met each other in time, and Susan was a Presbyterian, and Doña Tulis was Catholic. And of course, there was a clash of culture and everything else between the two of them, but it's fun to play them back to back.
Oh, you just drip that Kentucky charm. You really do. She
Thank
must have
you.
been some lady.
She really, really was. And her husband, oh, he loved her so much. He was 27 years older than she.
Man.
But the rigors of the trail took the lives or hampered the health of
Yes.
so many women that traveled. And it's kind of sad it actually happened to Susan. She died only at the age of 28.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, and her husband went on, and he remarried another lady, her cousin, who happened to also be called Susan Shelby.
How about that?
How about that?
Well, VanAnn performs these one-woman shows all the time, and you do them all over the place, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I absolutely do, and I love them.
I'm so delighted that you picked this character.
Thank you.
Because it's so American and
It
so
is.
perfect for the 4th of July.
It is so perfect, and I have to end on an interesting note. Her grandfather, who was the governor of Kentucky, when he died in 1826, he was memorialized right along with John Adams and Jefferson. They died at the same time, and they were
Wow.
three of the big patriots of the time.
Thank you for dressing so beautifully today and doing this performance for us.
Thank you so
Want
much.
everybody a big hand for VanAnn Moore. She's a one-woman performance artist right here in our backyard in Belen, here on the 4th of July. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and a
Delight.
very blessed Independence Day or 4th of July to you, Larry. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Hey, we'll continue we're going to wrap up our Independence Day special here in just a moment. You are listening to KDAZ AM and FM and watching KCHF TV. We'll be back in a moment.